Welcome back to another team selection video ahead of match day 5. You can also check out my best wildcard team video, which is already up on the channel, and I'm going to be discussing which transfers I'm looking to make and how I did in match day 4, which was the best match day so far in this World Cup tournament. So be sure to drop this a like. Let's try to get this to over 300, and we're also looking to push on towards 20,000 subscribers. It'd be greatly appreciated. But without further ado, let's just jump straight into this one. There was only one blank in my team, and that came from my goalkeeper. Alisson made several saves against South Korea of top quality, but one stunning effort just wiped out that Brazilian clean sheet, and Alisson was actually subbed off shortly afterwards, and Brazil have now given minutes to every single member of the 26-man squad. My other goalkeeper was Nopper, who also conceded against the USA, and to be honest, that was deserved, but the goal itself was quite lucky in the USA's perspective. But there you go, 2 blanks from both of my goalkeepers, which maybe was a bit of a surprise to me. I thought Brazil would keep the clean sheet, but to be honest, maybe they were a bit fortunate to only concede the 1 goal. There you go though, blanks from my goalkeepers, but everything else was much better. I was very lucky with this one. So Eder Militao was subbed off just before Brazil conceded, so I kept his clean sheet points. And by the way, you might be thinking, well, what about Theo Hernandez in match day 1 when he came on around 20 minutes? Well, don't worry, those points have been added retrospectively, so that's why you might have seen a change in your points totals or your rank even after, no games are being played. You're like, what the hell's going on here? So Eder Militao did keep the clean sheet for me. I was very lucky in that regard, but a bit less lucky and just kind of more common sense was Harry Maguire keeping a clean sheet against Senegal. I never really expected Senegal to score, to be honest, but having said that, they had the opportunities and they should have scored in the opening stages of the game. They didn't. They lacked the cutting edge, and of course Sadio Mane was a huge miss, but England got the job done. They were the better team, and now let's see how they do against France, of course. But very happy with the clean sheet from Maguire, and the other one was Luke Shaw. So all clean sheets here from my backline, with the exception of Alisson, of course, but very happy with these 3 defenders in particular. It was just a bit frustrating because I did get rid of Dumfries heading into this with unlimited transfers, and he got a 14-pointer. The Netherlands conceded, which, to be honest, I expected, but at the same time, he got a 14-pointer with a goal and the 2 assists, so it was frustrating, but he is going to be back in my matchday 5 team. Spoiler alert, I'm hoping I can jinx him if anything, but there you go, points all round from my defenders. On the final day of match day 4, I got rid of Otamendi for Bruno Fernandes, and I gained 1 point from that decision. Otamendi got a 4-pointer with his assist for Messi's opener against Australia, but I got rid of him and Bruno Fernandes gained me something, so not too shabby of a decision. Portugal scored 6 goals, but Bruno Fernandes just with the 1 assist, which was maybe a bit surprising, but he is still their standout player so far in this tournament, and he's someone I'm happy to keep going into the latter stages of this competition. And then moving on to Ivan Perisic, I mean, what a crucial goal that was to equalize against Japan, and Croatia got the job done. So many of their games recently in the Euros and the World Cups have gone to extra time and penalties. I think 7 of their last 8 matches in those 2 competitions, so they have that experience, and they were very good with their penalty taking. Livakovic did well to save them, but the Japanese penalties in particular were very poor. But Perisic, I've always said this, he is my preference over Modric, because despite the fact that Luka Modric is on penalties, Perisic has a better goals and assist record compared to Modric, especially in World Cups and also in international tournaments. So I'm very happy with Perisic with that 8-pointer. And then looking ahead to the other midfielders, I mean, this is probably one of the best decisions I made all week. So I got rid of Dani Olmo and got in Phil Foden once I saw that Foden and Saka were starting. I was briefly contemplating getting rid of Saka, but I thought that made no sense, and I thought England would score 2 or 3, and that's why I decided to keep Saka and also get Phil Foden, and those 2 got me 19 points between them. So I'm very happy with the England coming a quadruple here, and I am going to kind of chip away at this heading into the France game. And even though I think England can win that, I still think from a defensive point of view, I just don't see England keeping out Mbappe and keeping the clean sheet. Of course, it's possible, but their attackers, of course, is what I'm mainly looking towards. I think that could be a really high-scoring game. Now watch it be such a pragmatic kind of 0-0 or 1-1, and it's just a snooze fest in general. What more can I say about this guy? I mean, I've run out of superlatives and words, of course. I'm really hoping for the best for Messi in this tournament. He's been fantastic so far. and he only had the one blank really against Poland up until this point, and to be honest, he probably should have gotten a goal and at least a few assists. And against Australia, I mean, how he didn't get a double-digit return is beyond me. He set up two golden opportunities for Lautaro Martinez, who simply isn't at it at the moment. He's not 100%, and it is a shame. But Messi himself opened the scoring, and he was absolutely sensational against Australia. And let's wait and see what he can do in match day 5 as well. But a 7-pointer for him, pretty happy with that. And to be honest, it should have been more, but still he got the job done. And then looking to the other forwards, Richarlison won a penalty and he also scored himself, probably the goal of the tournament, despite the fact that the other goal competing for goal of the tournament was by Richarlison himself as well. I think the other contenders would be Holland against USA and maybe an Argentina goal against Poland, the one with Alvarez with 27 passes. But to be honest, the Brazilian goals were absolutely sensational, and Richarlison once again delivers, and now he's facing Croatia. And as I talked about in my best wildcard team video, I would highly recommend going for Richarlison, especially over Giroud, who's facing England. And the final forward is Kylian Mbappe. I probably should have switched to captaincy here against Poland, but to be honest, Poland did a good job overall. They kind of matched France, and I think 3-1 was a bit harsh on them, but they gave Mbappe space on 2 occasions. He punished them both times, and that just sums up Kylian Mbappe right now. And I am looking to captain him, even though he's going to be facing England. As I stated earlier, it was my best week so far with 90 points, and I'm now on 245 overall, and my rank has gone up significantly to around 49,323. Now, there's a fine line here in the captaincy, whether you hold and you accept one return from your captain, or do you take the plunge? And I think it was worth taking the plunge on Mbappe against Poland, but to be honest, I think Poland were a bit unfortunate to lose by 3-1. I think they did much better in that game compared to the Argentina one, where they were absolutely dominated. But Mbappe, you give him space on 1 or 2 occasions, he's going to punish you. That happened. He also got the assist for the opener that Giroud scored, and Mbappe is just worth, I think, switching the captaincy too. But apart from him, I would probably just keep it on anyone else you have that may have returned for you already. But now that Mbappe's facing England, it does get a bit more complicated. We'll talk about that later on in this video, but I'm happy with Messi anyway with that return. He should have gotten much more. He didn't. It is what it is. I'm hoping he's saving it for the remaining rounds. And in terms of a few other decisions that maybe kind of cost me in terms of not gaining even more rank, it was not going for Dumfries and not switching the captaincy to Mbappe. But there you go. It was still a fantastic week, and returns from every single one of my starting 11 players, with the exception of Alisson. Even Otamendi, who was on my bench, got a 4-pointer. So points all round. Now I'm hoping for even better stuff in Matchday 5. I always emphasize this. Be sure in terms of your bench to have players who are not playing on the first day. Alisson's going to be the first game up. Brazil versus Croatia will be the first game of Matchday 5. Do not bench any of your Brazil or Croatia players, otherwise you will miss out on their points entirely. And Alisson's a good option. Even at 6 million, he can make plenty of saves, and Brazil probably have one of the best chances of keeping clean sheets throughout the rest of this tournament. I think they're around a 16. Their quarterfinal games are some of the kind of easiest compared to the other nations, and I think Brazil have one of the best defenses anyway. So no matter who they face, they always have that chance of keeping a clean sheet, and I would stay with Alisson if you still have him. If you need the extra money to fund another move you really want to do, then maybe downgrading Alisson to Diego Costa could be the way forward. And one thing I want to also stress, and I talked about this in the best wildcard team video, is if you have Alisson and Noppert, for example, let's say they both go through to the next round, that's fine, but then they'll face each other in Matchday 6, and you can only play one of them. So be aware of all of this, and if you can, try to have goalkeepers playing on different sides of the bracket. So in this case, I would highly recommend Alisson and Diogo Costa from Portugal. This will probably be one of the toughest games to call, Argentina versus Netherlands, but Otamendi remains a good option, and he's only 5 million. He's nailed on. He even got an assist the other day. Now, I don't expect that to really happen again, but you just never know. He's obviously such a presence in the air, and he could even get a goal. You just never know in this competition. But with Otamendi, you're mainly relying on the clean sheet. Argentina very solid defensively, but they have conceded some very strange goals. Of course, one incredible goal by Saudi Arabia, and another one against the run of play, and then the one in Australia, I mean, that was completely against the run of play, and out of nowhere, an own goal by Enzo Fernandez. So obviously I do feel for those of you that had Fernandez in your team. Obviously he was great playing in the defensive midfield position, but there you go. Otamendi's still a good option, and I would highly recommend him if you are looking for an Argentina defender or defensive coverage in general, and he will do the job for you, I believe. Then we've got Denzel Dumfries. He's the best kind of attacking fullback and defender left in the competition, so I would definitely cover Netherlands in some way, shape or form defensively, and Dumfries will be the way to go. Noppert is still good, by the way, at 4.5 million, but Dumfries with the attacking potential, you just can't turn that down. He showed what he could do in the round of 16. And the final defender will be yet another Brazilian who plays on the first kind of game in Matchday 5, Eder Militao. But I am keeping an eye on him because Danilo could come back, be the right back, and then Militao will drop to the bench with Marquinhos and Thiago Silva playing as the centre backs. That will not change in this competition unless one of them gets injured. So Eder Militao is in here for now, but I'm going to be using some of my free transfers, and we get 5 here, by the way, in Matchday 5, to just get rid of players who are benched, and also to maybe take a punt on certain players like I did last week with Phil Foden. Klassen delivered returns in every single match day except for match day 4, where he was subbed off at half time, and that doesn't fill with confidence, but I think he could be crucial in this game, kind of occupying the spaces, running into areas which drags Argentina midfielders and defenders away, and it gives the likes of Gakpo, Dumfries and Depay more space to operate. But he could be crucial from that perspective, especially tactically, maybe not from a fantasy one, but you just never know. It could always be someone you least expect that turns up with a goal in these really important and evenly contested games. So Klassen is in here for now, but I could actually upgrade him to Ziyech or maybe go to another midfielder like Paqueta. But next up is Ivan Perisic against Brazil. He is the only Croatian player I would go for, and if Croatia do something, I think Perisic will be involved, but I think Brazil will be far too strong for Croatia. I hope I'm wrong about that one. And then moving on to the final midfielders, I've gone for Phil Foden right now, who I brought in for Olmo. That obviously worked a treat, but against France it's a different kettle of fish, and England could struggle here, but I think England will get that goal, and France are very suspect defensively, and Phil Foden, if he starts, has a great chance of returns. And the same goes for Bukayo Saka, who has been one of the best players in this tournament, and he is the second highest scoring midfielder, only behind Bruno Fernandes, and that's by 1 point. So Bukayo Saka's in here, and a double up against France offensively does seem maybe a bit too much, but like I said, I don't really rate France defensively, and I think they could be got at, and England could really expose them, especially on the counter-attack. There'll be no surprises here. The highest owned player in the game, Messi, is in my team, and he has been making the difference for Argentina. It's going to be a very close game, and it might not even be a double-digit haul here, but Messi is still capable of it, and let's see if his teammates can finish the chances he creates, and let's wait and see if his shooting boots will be on, and that's what we're going to be hoping for. But the Netherlands will be a very tough game, and in terms of the fantasy assets from that match, Messi's still going to be the standout, and he's a great captaincy option as well. The same goes for the next one, Richarlison, who's facing Croatia. I think is a great captaincy option, and I'll be talking about this very soon. I'm heavily considering putting the armband on him first in the first game of Matchday 5. I think he could do the job here once again, as he has been throughout this tournament. And the final one, of course, is going to be Kylian Mbappe, the second highest owned player in the game. He's facing England, but he remains a great captaincy option nonetheless, and you could honestly go for any of the front three. Brazil have the best fixture on paper, but Croatia could be defensively resolute, so I don't think there's a clear standout, but I would actually go maybe for the likes of Richarlison and Mbappe in terms of the captaincy. So here is my bench as things stand. So I've gone for Noppert here, but I am considering making some moves, maybe up to Diogo Costa, and I also have goalkeepers from different sides of the draw, and the only way they can face each other will be the final. In that case, Bruno Fernandes is also on my bench, so I've got him ready to come on just in case. And of course, if you look at this really and you're structuring it in the best possible way, Bruno Fernandes would be starting and you would bench one of the England players, because England versus France is going to be the final game of Matchday 5, so be aware of that. The same goes for the likes of Sace as well. I've already got Short on my bench, as you can see, but one of Foden, Saka, or whoever I bring in really in the midfield could actually drop down to the bench with Bruno Fernandes coming in. But either way, they could come on at some point, depending on if I need them or not and how my players do in terms of points. But that's how everything looks in terms of my bench. It's pretty solid, but in terms of moves I'm looking to make potentially, it would be Noppert up to Diogo Costa. I'm also looking potentially at Foden down to Paqueta, and that would enable me to also upgrade Klassen to Ziyech, and that could also pretty much form the best wildcard team, which I talked about in that respective video, so be sure to check that out. But then in terms of the captaincy, as I alluded to earlier, I am considering Richarlison as my first captain. I think he could do the job against Croatia, and of course Messi's always going to be a great captaincy option. I'm not going to say you can't captain him or that you shouldn't, but I'm looking at Richarlison first, and then I'm potentially looking at Mbappe as my second captain. Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. Would you rather go for Messi, and if so, who would you captain him over? Would it be Mbappe or Richarlison? But that's my current plans, to captain Richarlison, then Mbappe. And to be honest, every time I've captained Messi, he's delivered for me. And the one time I didn't captain him, he didn't. So maybe I'm just going to captain him anyway, maybe as a good luck charm. But that is going to be my team selection. Like I said, I'm looking to make maybe a few changes here, 3 or 4 extra. I've already used my remaining transfers for Matchday 4 to get the likes of Dumfries back into my team. So you can do that going forwards as well. Be aware of that. You can use some of your 5 free transfers heading into the quarterfinals to also deal with your team heading into the semi-finals if you have any left over. So if you have any more questions, let me know down in the comment section below. And if you enjoyed this video or found it useful, then smash the like button and subscribe for new. Let's get this video to over 300 likes, and let's also push on towards 20,000 subscribers. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram, DylanRCM, for many perks such as early access to videos and much more, especially when it comes to FPL and UCL Fantasy later down the line. So be sure to check out the links in the description below. The same goes for the World Cup Fantasy League and the Discord server. So all of that is there. I wish you all the best of luck for this World Cup tournament, and I'll see you next time.